Hello, my name is Mike Pfaff, and this is my YouTube channel, Living in the Illusion. And in the past, recent past, we've talked about a lot of things about memories, how they're formed, how they're recalled, how we use memories to make our belief system, and therefore how we interpret our world around us. But today we're going to make a jump, a leap into something else. And we're going to talk about the three brains that are integrated into the modern brain. You might not know that, but over evolution, we have started out with one kind of brain and developed a couple other brains that kind of overlay each other. So that's what we're going to talk about. The first brain comes from first life that came onto dry land. Because most theories are around life beginning in the ocean or wetlands or swamplands. Nobody knows for sure. It was a long time ago. But most of the time we think that life started in the water or wet and then moved on to the land. And there are still animals in our modern day that go back and forth between water and land. And basically we call them reptiles. And we have a whole bunch of them that are around today. Alligators, crocodiles, turtles, and animals like that. So now, the first animals that came on the dry land were our beginnings. And so we have, at the beginning of our brain, right in the back, is what's called the Paleo cortex, or the reptilian brain. And sometimes it's called a fish brain. But I like reptile. The reptilian brain is attached to the spinal column. And it does a lot of things for us. It runs most of our automatic systems. So I'm going to draw that so that we have some idea of what it might look like. So we're going to draw that little part of us, little brain. I'll color it in so that you can tell where it's at. And it's attached to the spinal column. So that's kind of how we started out. Now, the reptilian brain, I'm going to put it down, first brain. It's very important. So way back then, when all there was reptiles, they come out of the water, come from the swamp onto the dry land. Now, to help us visualize this, I want you to recognize me as a reptile and you as a reptile. So now, here I am. I'm a reptile. Watch see how my feet are going, my hands, these are feet. And now I'm moving on to the dry land and I see you. Three things. Do I have to kill you? Can I eat you? Can I mate with you? This reptile represents involved and integrated into your primal drive. So you have primal drives that are underlying your first brain. It's your reptile brain. And so the first brain is your primal Primal Drive. Primal Drive. Very important. Keeps you alive. Sometimes in the military, particularly in the Marines, the Army, Special Services, they say, trust your lizard brain. Oh, that's another animal that goes on the land, lizards. Trust your lizard brain because it'll keep you alive. And it will. So that's what we start off with. That's what we start off with, is the first brain. Lizard brain, primal drive, the reptilian brain. Now, the reptile isn't too good at developing community, about making relationships, about raising families. Because most of the time, got primal drive, so it comes on and mates. And most of the time, reptiles, turtles, sea turtles even, come onto the dry land, lay their eggs, psst, they're gone. The little turtles, heated by the sun, under the sand, at some time, usually at night, they come out of the shell. And they come up and they scurry for the water. And some of them make it and some of them don't. Because they are very soft shells at that time. And they're quite delicious to certain animals, particularly birds, seagulls and stuff like that. So they got to be pretty quick. So the reptile, all it does, scurries back and forth and lives and mates, has a wonderful life. But it's not too good for us humans. So after eons of time, we developed a second brain that's on top of this. It's on top of this. That's why this one's in the back and the next one is kind of in the middle, because there's three. So on top of this sets the second brain. It's called the emotional brain, or the limbic system. So now we have an emotional brain to try to moderate the primal drive. And it somewhat worked pretty good. All mammals have that kind of a system, the second brain. And then after another eon amount of time, we human beings, developed another brain. Now this is the brain that you are familiar with, because it's the wrinkly one that if you go on YouTube and other places, you're going to find this picture of the brain. It'll have two halves and it'll be wrinkled. So you got this wrinkly part here, and this is your third brain. Third brain. Neo-Cortex. Or your rational brain. Rational. So now the third brain is the rational brain. So there are the three brains. They're very important. They're all linked together. They're all integrated. But they each have different functions. So in this one here, now you got to look, because now here you are. This may not look like you, but make believe it is you. See the little head on here? This is the frontal lobe. Do all your rational thinking there. Except when the reptile's activated. And we have to talk about what the reptile does. The reptile is your survival skill. determines a lot of your automatic functions. Blood pressure, heart rate, how you digest food. All of it is influenced by your primal drive to survive. And when it gets activated, the frontal lobe doesn't get as much blood. Why would that be? Well, because this little bugger, your first one, turns on your fight or flight when you are under stress and tension, when you're under attack. That's why you got to trust your lizard brain. It's the part that keeps you safe. But it also does a lot of things that can be detrimental. So here we have the three parts of the brain. Now, one other thing that we need to talk about, and you need to be aware of, is that this part of you, your primal drive, moves away from pain and towards pleasure automatically. Your primal drive moves away from pain, suffering, discomfort, and towards pleasure. As quickly and as fast as it can, just scurrying along in the sand, jumping into the water, or jumping into someplace that is more pleasant. So this is what we have now. Okay? Again, primal drive. Takes care of everything, how you digest food, all kinds of stuff in your body. And when it's operating normally. Now, when it gets triggered by a sense of survival, a need to survive, it turns on your fight or flight response. That's basically what it does. Turns on your fight or flight response. And it will moderate many systems in the body, depending on how stressed you are and how close to death you are, how close to survival. And so when it turns it on, it can vary up to, some estimates, around 1,400 different systems in the body. That's what the fight or flight does. It redirects blood within the body through a hormonal action. And that's why up in here, you see, when you're trying to survive, you don't have to do a lot of rational thinking. You don't have to think. Now, this is an old system, so we have to use old terminology. If a saber-toothed tiger is ready to leap on you, we don't want to sit around and rationalize, because that's the rational mind. We don't want to rationalize, well, should I pick up a stick or grab a stone and try to throw it at the saber-toothed tiger? No. All the blood that's going to this rational mind is diminished, and you redirect the blood automatically to the limbic system, or your emotional drivers. So you're doing a lot of stuff in here because of what the reptile wants to do when it's triggered for survival. Because it moves away from pain and towards pleasure automatically. So now we're going to move to another, that's why I left this space here. We're going to move to another model that's associated with this. Okay? So, what we're going to draw here is a problem. Imagine you got a problem. How does it feel? How does a problem feel? Good or bad? I'm not going to wait for your answer. I'm going to second guess you. It's going to feel bad. Bad vibes in the body. Bad vibes. Painful. Problems aren't good. Now, if you have a problem, what's the reptile do? Now, I've already told you, right? The reptile is going to move to something more pleasurable. Now, just think in general. The general population, you, when you don't feel good, what do? What are some of the things that people do to find pleasure when things aren't going right? I'll give you a hint. Shopping. A lot of people go shopping. Makes them feel good. Get new stuff, look at new things, see how different hairstyles are, different hats, different clothes. They go shopping. They buy stuff. Guys buy tools. They like tools. Electronic stuff. All kinds of stuff like that. Makes them feel good. So then, what is another thing they do? Well, they read. If they don't feel good, they read. They get lost in a good book, or real close to it, television. Television, movies. Movies. So now we're getting how we move away from our pleasure. Move to pleasure. Another one, social media. Social media. Social media. A lot of people do that. Facebook. A lot of people spend hours every day on Facebook. Some people spend maybe an hour a week or less. Now you got to look at the ones that are spending 5-6 hours a day on Facebook, writing all kinds of stuff about what they did and when they went to the bathroom, all kinds of stuff they put on there. What's another thing? The classic of moving away from pain and towards pleasure. Alcohol. Number one. Alcohol. And what goes along with that is drugs, of course. They think, oh, well, I'm just using drugs and alcohol because they feel good. Of course they feel good. But if you weren't in pain, you wouldn't need them. These are mood-altering substances. Why? Because you're in a bad mood. Bad problem. Bad mood. Work, relationships, whatever it is. And so you change your mood. That's what the reptile does. What else? What's another good one? Sex. Sex is always a good one. Another one you might not think of, church. People go to church. Nothing wrong with going to church, but if you're doing it to escape your problem, it will become problematic in your life. That's the way it goes. What else? Another good one. Oh, this is a very good one. Exercise. Going to do a lot of exercise. Makes you feel good. Changes the endorphins. Running marathons. Walking. Out in the fresh air. Depends on why you do it. which is another name for saying attitude. What's your attitude? So let's kind of take a look at one. I'm going to take shopping. Let's look at shopping. Now, if you have a problem and you start shopping, well, you get new stuff and it makes you feel good. And then you go home. You go home. Well, there's a problem. Doesn't feel good. So then you go back, go shopping. Next week, next weekend, next day. You go shopping. Max out your credit card. Go back here. How's it feel? Terrible. Feels terrible. It's got a problem. Well, then you go back here, you get another credit card. You run that one out. You have to go back here. You got a problem. So this becomes a vicious circle. The reptile's trying to survive. The reptile's moving away from the pain, from the problem, moving towards something that he feels more comfortable with. So there he is. Then, after a while, you know, you've taken, oh, I forgot, I should put gambling in here, because this is like gambling. Gambling's a big one, too. And what, you know, almost anything can be a problem when you are using it to escape your underlying issue. So now we got this problem with shopping. You know what happens? A lot of times, a person comes into treatment, comes to see me, or somebody like me. And I drop my eraser. And we work on that, we solve this problem. Works out the money, makes a deal with the financial institution, whatever it is, and then this goes away. What happens next? He's going to pick something else, or she's going to pick something else. Why? The problem's still there. Because they thought this external behavior was the problem. And most therapies work very hard to stop this external behavior. And they think, if that goes away, well, problem solved. No, problem's not solved. Problem's right here. Here's the thing. If you want to solve the problem, you have to go to the problem. Doing external behavior won't solve your problem. When you solve your problem, you can use external behavior in a way that is natural and normal for you. And it won't be a problem. So, again, we started out with 3 brains. Begin recognizing the primal drive is the most important. What signals the primal drive? Your past memories. Oh, we got back talking about memories. The primal drive is triggered by negative past memories. And when that happens, all kinds of things happen in the body, and decisions are made that aren't so much by the rational, logical mind. Made by primal drive, but we will rationalize it because the conscious mind is very good at that. Rationalizing to justify why you do what you do, even though it hurts you emotionally and physically, your health, your family, everything else. You got to solve your problem. If you solve your problem, there's nothing wrong with any of these. You can use social media. You can use reading. You can use shopping. We all got to shop. Oh, I didn't put down another one, eating. Eating is a big one to run away from your problem. We call it emotional eating. We got names for all these, but we don't look at them as solving the problem. We look at them, oh, we have to save, we have to change our behavior, external behavior. External behavior has nothing to do with it. It's an internal problem. You have to solve the internal problem, then this will automatically neutralize and become normal and natural. So if you got any problem with anything going on in the outside, any outside behavioral issues, look to the mind. Look to your emotions that are connected to memories of the past. Heal your past. Forgive yourself. Your problem will dissipate and you'll have a normal relationship with those around you and with life in general. What a wonderful thing. So, again, this is another way to look at why you got problems and what you can do about them. So, until we see each other again, have fun, enjoy life. For me, this is the new year. This is the first day of 2021. And we'll see each other again, I hope.